Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we try to cut through the noise.
Okay, let's unpack this. We all think we know what ignorance means, right?
Uh-huh. Like just not knowing something.
Exactly, not knowing a fact, maybe. But what if? What if that's actually missing the point? What if the stuff we think we know, or maybe the things we just blindly follow, is actually a way more dangerous kind of ignorance?
Yeah, something much more insidious.
Right. So today, we're really challenging that everyday idea of ignorance. Our sources suggest it's not just about, a gap in your knowledge or education. It's something deeper.
Something that actually disguises itself. It pretends to be truth.
That's the core of it.
And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how our sources define it. It feels incredibly relevant, not just historically, but for you listening, for all of us trying to figure things out today.
So what's the mission for this deep dive, then?
Well, our mission is really to explore what this redefined ignorance actually is.
Yeah.
What forms does it take? How does it manage to, masquerade as truth? And what's the impact on us, on society? And we're drawing on specific material for this.
Yes, absolutely. It's based directly on a really insightful source titled Schitter Theisted,
Which translates to?
Ignorance, a shadow masquerading as truth.
A shadow. Wow, okay.
Yeah. And like you said, the source material reframes it. It says explicitly, ignorance isn't just illiteracy. It's not just lacking knowledge or culture.
So you could have advanced degrees, tons of followers.
Exactly. You can have all that. But if you accept something false as truth, and then you act on it, you follow it. Well, that's the deepest kind of ignorance, according to this view.
So it's an active thing, not just a passive lack.
Precisely. The source defines it as considering falsehood to be truth and then actively following it. It's not its own thing, ignorance. It's like a quality that falsehood takes on when it mimics truth.
Like a parasite.
That's a great way to put it. It feeds on the light of truth, adopting its appearance just to deceive you. It clings to it, mimics its glow.
So it looks like the real deal.
It looks like the real deal. There's a powerful Quranic verse the source brings up from Al-Baqarah, verse 42. It says, and
the meaning.
Basically, and do not mix truth with falsehood or conceal the truth while you know it. The key part there is while you know it. It highlights this deliberate aspect.
Ah, so it's not just an honest mistake.
Right. It's about actively obscuring or twisting truth, maybe even mixing it up, which creates the perfect conditions for this kind of ignorance to flourish. You end up chasing an illusion, thinking it's guidance.
Okay, so this is pretty heavy. What's the takeaway for someone listening right now for how you handle information day to day?
Well, I think it means you really need to be sharp, be discerning. Because sometimes what looks like clarity or what everyone seems to agree on, it might just be that cleverly disguised shadow.
We need better shadow detectors.
Pretty much. And to help with that, the source actually breaks ignorance down into three distinct forms. It gives us a framework.
Okay, good. Let's get into those. What's the first one?
The first is individual ignorance, al-jala fardi.
Individual. So this is about me.
Yeah, it's personal. It happens when a person, consciously turns away from truth. Maybe they're swayed by their own desires, their passions, stuff that clouds their judgment.
So basically letting what you want to be true dictate what you believe is true, instead of doing the hard work of finding out what's actually right.
Exactly that. The source uses a really striking comparison here, actually. It quotes from the Qur'an again, Al-Araf, verse 176. And soke ifizan wiche el se, which is, it followed his own desires. So his example is like that of the dog. It's a powerful image. It's showing the consequence of being driven by those base desires over, intellectual or spiritual truth. Like being enslaved by your own impulses.
Wow. Okay. That's individual ignorance. What comes next?
Next is collective ignorance. Al-Jalal, al-Jal.
Collective. So groups, society.
Exactly. This is more widespread. It's when ignorance becomes like a common societal behavior. And often it's nurtured, even spread by misleading figures or maybe institutions.
So this is where large numbers of people just hand over their critical thinking.
Pretty much. To popular personalities, charismatic leaders, maybe just famous people, powerful people, without really checking or questioning, blind following, essentially.
Any examples?
Well, the source points to another verse at Talba, verse 31, to Yudifiyu, Ishye Olchaela. It translates to people taking their scholars and monks as lords besides God, or specifically Allah here.
Meaning they elevate human figures too high.
Right, to the point where their words or ideas can actually displace genuine, divinely revealed truth. They just adopt whatever these figures say, unquestioningly.
Okay, that's individual and collective. Is there a third?
Yes, the third form is inherited ignorance, al-jal mawruth.
Inherited, like passed down.
Exactly. This one's really entrenched. It's about practices, traditions, beliefs passed down through generations, and over time, they gain this sort of false sanctity. They become unquestionable just because they're old.
We've always done it this way.
Precisely. That's the core of it. It's incredibly powerful because it's tied to tradition, to ancestors, to perceived wisdom. The source gives the example of Prophet Ibrahim challenging his people about their idols.
And how did they respond?
Their response from Ashwara, verse 74, was basically, say, I say shit, say, no, but we found our fathers doing thus.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
Because our fathers did it.
That was enough justification for them. It shows how deeply these inherited falsehoods can get stuck just by the sheer weight of tradition overriding any logic or actual truth.
It really does make you pause, doesn't it? Makes you think about what you might accept just because it's familiar or because everyone around you does.
Absolutely. It's a call to examine the foundations of our own beliefs. Are they based on truth or just habit?
Okay, to really nail down this idea of ignorance not being about illiteracy, let's look at that historical example you mentioned, Jahila.
Right, the so-called age of ignorance before Islam. It's a perfect case study for this deeper definition.
Because the common assumption is, well, ignorance must mean they couldn't read or write, right?
Exactly, but the source is very clear. That wasn't the case at all. Many Arabs back then were literate. They had this incredible poetic tradition, the famous mu'allaqat.
The poems hung on the Kaaba.
The very same. They had vibrant cultural markets like sukukas. They were known for being eloquent speakers, amazing poets, respected writers. They weren't uncultured or unintelligent.
If it had all that, the literacy, the culture, the eloquence, where was the ignorance the term jahiliya refers to?
Well, according to our source, their ignorance wasn't about lacking information or skill. It was fundamentally about following falsehood, specifically engaging in idolatry.
Following falsehood, despite their eloquence.
Yes. And often that very eloquence was used, maybe even weaponized, for misguidance, to promote tribalism, to make falsehood sound beautiful and convincing.
So the skill itself isn't good or bad, it's how it's used.
Precisely. The source notes that even with all their poetic mastery, the eloquence of the Qur'an, its balagha, was something they acknowledged as being beyond them. Unmatchable.
Which suggests?
It suggests that real truth has an inherent power that transcends even the most skillful human rhetoric. It demonstrates that truth stands higher than just clever words.
That really hammers home the point. Knowledge isn't just about having information or even being able to express it well. It's about what you do with it, which truths or falsehoods you choose to follow.
Exactly. It's about the direction your compass is pointing.
Okay, now this next part, it feels really, really relevant today. The source talks about aids of ignorance, people who actively promote falsehood.
Yes, the propagators. Those who champion falsehood and make it look like truth, the source identifies them broadly.
Who are they?
Well, it could be anyone with influence. Eloquent speakers, sure. But also poets, powerful media figures, politicians, artists, social activists. The list is long.
So people with platforms.
People with platforms, exactly. And the source points out they're often given huge access to media, maybe lots of funding. They become very visible, very influential in shaping how people think.
It's like they're given a megaphone for, potentially, falsehood.
That's the idea. The source again brings in a Quranic perspective here from Al-An'am, verse 121.
Yikael eat, nukeditus.
Yi down ni 4be, wo the essence 3o.
Meaning,
and indeed, the devils inspire their allies to argue with you. It suggests that falsehood isn't just accidental, it's actively propagated, defended, often through these influential, persuasive figures. They become sort of allies or conduits for misguidance.
And the source draws a contrast here, right, between who gets amplified and who doesn't.
It does. It makes the sobering point that while these aids of falsehood are often celebrated and promoted, you have sincere scholars, genuinely helpful doctors, dedicated teachers whose contributions might get overlooked. Their voices get marginalized in the noise.
That's Yeah, that's a really stark contrast. And
Yeah.
it makes you think about the cost to society when that happens.
Absolutely. It ties into a bigger principle the sources emphasize. Truth is permanent, falsehood is temporary. It's inherent in their nature.
Like an underlying law.
Almost, yeah. The Quranic verse from El-Isra, verse 81, captures it beautifully. Sarisaya, he say he saw you. Isaim cha isaid isay show.
Which means?
And say, truth has come and falsehood has vanished. Indeed, falsehood is by nature bound to vanish. It's this powerful declaration of truth's ultimate resilience.
Falsehood is destined to disappear.
That's the principle. And other verses reinforce this. Like in Yunus, verse 36, it says, most people follow only assumption, and assumption is no substitute for truth. Sergej eu to do say to is someday you to the Tell me if some don't a foe.
So just because lots of people believe something?
Doesn't make it true. And another verse, Al-An'am 116, warns directly. I see if say it, or it's I'll say it. That's the strong somebody.
Just also to PODA. Then you flay. Me get my hand. Never see wait if you said an act, why it could reply it.
And if you obey most of those on earth, they will mislead you.
Wow. So popularity is definitely not a measure of truth.
Not according to these sources, no. It's a critical warning, especially today.
So let's talk consequences. What happens if this kind of ignorance following falsehood really takes hold in a community and a society?
The source paints a pretty bleak picture. It warns that if ignorance dominates, a society's values get turned completely upside down, inverted.
How so?
Well, the oppressor might start to look like a reformer. Someone corrupt could be seen as a respected leader. Someone shallow or promoting trivial things might become a symbol people look up to.
And truth itself.
Truth gets pushed to the margins. It gets lost in all the noise, the clamor. The source links this back to that idea of inherited ignorance, too, citing Luke verse 21. Oh, Ochen, I don't like this. Ei au antimes das. Isa shirere unitai se ihoche isayater. People choose tradition over revealed truth.
Blindly following the past, even when truth is presented.
Exactly. Which, raises that crucial question for all of us. How do we guard against this? Individually and collectively. It's why the source reminds us of the prayer of Moses.
I seek refuge in Allah from being among the ignorant.
A profound plea for clarity.
Okay, so the sources identify the problem, the different types, the dangers. But do they offer solutions? Ways to protect ourselves from this shadow?
Yes, definitely. They don't just leave us with the problem. The source outlines 3 key safeguards. Really practical things.
What are they?
First, a steadfast return to truth wherever you find it. Doesn't matter the source, doesn't matter if it's popular or not. If it's truth, embrace it.
So intellectual honesty, basically.
Absolutely. Second, a decisive abandonment of blind imitation. You have to question things, question assumptions, scrutinize narratives. Don't just accept things passively. Develop your own critical lens.
Okay. Truth-seeking, critical thinking. What's the third?
The third is fundamental. Purifying the intellect and your innate intuition, your fitra, with divine revelation.
So aligning your thinking and your gut feeling with a higher standard.
Exactly. It's about calibrating your internal compass using timeless universal principles, letting that wisdom sharpen your perceptions so you can cut through the noise and connect with what's fundamentally true beyond just fleeting opinions.
And if we fail to do these things, if we don't use these safeguards?
Well, the source brings up a really chilling warning about loss. It's from Surah Al-Kahf, verses 103 and 104. So shacheli jeno ifscj. I wiskfesto yilo jango te iviso. Ha. Oh, poli disabije. Yiseto dije yishe yise jan did you misto yeshe. Use your best.
That sounds serious. What's the meaning?
It translates to, say, shall we inform you of the greatest losers in their deeds? They are those whose effort is lost in worldly life while they think that they are doing good work.
Wow. So you can be working really hard, totally sincere, thinking you're doing good. But if your effort isn't aligned with truth, if it's based on falsehood, it's lost.
Tragically, yes. That's the warning. Sincere effort needs correct guidance. Otherwise, it's wasted, or worse, counterproductive. It highlights how crucial that alignment with truth really is.
Okay, let's bring this right up to the present moment. How does all this connect to our lives right now? The digital age, constant information.
The source makes a very direct link. It says, essentially, that the role once played by, say, sorcerers or soothsayers or those really persuasive tribal speakers.
Old aids of ignorance.
Exactly. That role is now increasingly being played out on our screens. Phones, tablets, social media, images, names, online personas get amplified, boosted.
Until they seem like authorities.
Until they become perceived as authorities, yeah. References to be followed, often without question, and the people behind them might get showered with money, fame, even if what they offer has no real tangible benefit to humanity.
So it's the same dynamic, just turbocharged by technology. The aids of falsehood have better tools now.
That's a perfect way to put it. They have a massive global upgrade. The tools and the reach are unprecedented.
Is the nature of the falsehood changing too, or just the delivery mechanism?
It's probably a bit of both. The speed and the scale definitely change things. Misinformation, disinformation can spread like wildfire, but the core mechanisms playing on emotions, biases, creating persuasive but hollow narratives, those are timeless.
So the underlying shadow is the same, just harder to escape.
Perhaps, yeah. The source concludes pretty starkly that ignorance remains fertile ground. If societies drop the ball on actively, diligently distinguishing truth from falsehood, we just get drowned in noise.
And the real voice of truth gets lost.
Utterly lost amidst, millions of fleeting images, sound bites, empty words.
But you said earlier, truth prevails eventually. There's hope, right? It's not completely lost.
Absolutely. That's the crucial anchor. The source reminds us of that fundamental promise. Truth, by its very nature, doesn't just vanish. It has an inherent power. It will emerge and cause falsehood to vanish, no matter how slickly it's packaged.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. This has been a really profound deep dive into what ignorance truly means. It's clearly way more than just not knowing stuff.
Right. It's this active embrace of falsehood, often while believing it's truth, a fundamental misdirection.
We've seen it can be individual, collective, even inherited across generations, like a parasite, as you said.
Yeah, a powerful force. But crucially, we've also seen there's guidance. There are ways to guard against it, to actively seek truth, even when everything around us is shouting distractions.
It really comes down to activating that inner scale, doesn't it? Weighing things carefully, questioning, choosing truth even when it's not easy or popular.
It's a constant vigilance, really, an ongoing effort.
So thinking about today's world, with those screens constantly demanding our attention, elevating figures and ideas, maybe the final thought for you listening is this.
Really consider what potential aids of falsehood might you be giving your time and attention to, maybe unknowingly, in your daily scroll through social media or the news you consume. And how might that be subtly shaping what you perceive as true? Are you letting shadows masquerade as truth in your own mind?
A challenging question to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep seeking that pure truth and keep that discerning mind sharp.